Hey, this is Mike. If you're just joining, um, hey, Han, thanks for joining. I think our internet crashed completely. Hey, Jules. Hey, Tina. I'm not sure what happened. I think our internet crashed completely. So here I am. We'll give it a few minutes. Hey, Lamont, thanks for coming back. Like I said, I think our internet crashed completely. Died on me, but I'm back. Yes, I am back. I'm also front, Chris. I'm both. I'm very versatile that way. So I want to wait a minute and hopefully a couple others join. I know we were talking about the Monsters Inc. loading platform, and I think that's going to be pretty cool. So I don't know where I got cut off, but I've ridden coasters before where the track is above your head, and in all of those, you load on, and the platform you're on lowers down, and then you take off. On this one, the Monsters Inc. one, you'll walk out and get seated and they'll strap you in, and then the whole ride apparatus that you're on, it goes up in the air, like joins the track up 20 feet, and then you take off from there. It is very cool. I don't have audio right now because I'm eating dinner with my family. Well, good for you, Chris. So you can just use your imagination then. Oh, you cry. Say I shouldn't have taken a drink. That was the problem, Helen. So yeah, so the ride apparatus is going to be pretty cool. I think it looks really cool. Now, of course, it also made me think that all of those moving parts are just more opportunity for a ride to break down. Hopefully, that's not the case. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. So we got that. Disney shared artist rendition of the new Coco float that will be part of the nighttime parade at the Magic Kingdom. And that nighttime parade is Disney Starlight Dream the Night Away. I got to admit that I think the title's a little long. Probably people are going to call it Disney Starlight or maybe just Dream the Night Away. That is scheduled to start this summer. They've not set a date yet. I have my fingers crossed as hard as I can cross them that summer to them means Memorial Day weekend, because then I'll be able to catch it when I'm there. Disney also announced that on Smuggler's Run over at Hollywood Studios that a new Mandalorian mission will launch. I got excited because the date was May 22nd, thinking, hey, it's just a few months from now. Well, it's actually May 22nd, 2026, when the new Mandalorian mission will launch on Smuggler's Run on over in Galaxy's Edge. I think it was surprising to me because Disney never sets a specific date that's over a year out. But anyway, so still pretty cool. This got a lot of hype when it first was announced, but I don't hear any more conversation about it. And that is at some point in time in 2025, there will be meet and greets with Bluey. If you're not familiar with Bluey, it is a British cartoon that has made its way over here. It's on Disney, Disney Plus, Disney Junior. Now that I have a grandson who's 18 months old, I'm very familiar with Bluey, and I've probably seen some of the same episodes 6 or 7 times. Australian, yeah, thanks, Jules. So excited for that. That'll be pretty cool. Also, this week, Disney released some artist renditions of the ride vehicles for the Cars Land ride. Yep, Mom, Dad, Bingo, and Bluey. That's right. I'm not going to sing the song, but I could. So they had some artistry of that. And that's going to be an off-road rally race, which I think is pretty cool. I did see that it will be a track. It will not be a trackless ride. Trackless, think of like Remy, Ratatouille ride, for instance. So that's going to be pretty cool, I think. And that's a 2027 opening at Magic Kingdom. This summer at Hollywood Studios, The Little Mermaid, a musical adventure, will be opening. Again, no date has been set yet. And then later this summer, Test Track will reopen at Epcot, and it's technically 3.0. It's the third rendition of Test Track, but it's kind of a nod to the original release of the ride when it first opened up. And then another one and I think this one doesn't get talked about because this ride is, even though it's a really good one, I think a lot of people forget or don't know about it, and that is the Three Caballeros Grand Fiesta Tour inside the Mexico Pavilion. That's been closed for refurbishment. It opens up this Saturday, March 15th. So pretty cool there. Tina, you asked a question, and that's, I think, when I got all froze and lost it. And I'm going to guess at what your question was. And if I'm wrong, you can tell me. But I think you'd asked, which park do I think needs the most, I don't know if it was refurbishment or most enhancement. It was something along those lines. Maybe you'll put it back in the chat again. I'd hate to answer a question you didn't ask. I know it sounds crazy. I have been known to talk a lot. I'm pausing to see if Tina will put that back in the chat again. While I wait, there are some closures that I think some are, again, more readily known than others. So I'll run through these. Whispering Canyon Cafe, which is a awesome dining experience at Wilderness Lodge. It's going to have a short closure May 12th through the 21st for some refurbishment and sprucing up. The Winter Summerland Mini Golf over by Blizzard Beach will be closed for refurbishment April 28th through June 16th. So if you're going to be there at that point in time and wanted to play mini golf, you will need to go to Fantasia Gardens, which I've been to both, and they're both amazing. I think this one we all know, Big Thunder Mountain is closed and will be closed through this year into probably early 2026. At Magic Kingdom in Tomorrowland, Astro Orbiter is closed. That will reopen sometime this summer. The Hall of Presidents closed on January 20th, which is typical every January after elections. When a new president comes in, they have to make modifications. So that's happening. And then I think this one we all know sometime in 2025. It seems sooner rather than later that Tom Sawyer Island and the Liberty Bell ride will close down as they need to drain that water and fill that in for the construction for Cars Land. Yeah, Helen, I saw that too, that some permits were filed for the Imagination Building in Epcot. Speculation is that they might be refurbing or doing modifications to the ride itself. But those are just speculations at this point in time. Tina, are you still with me? Are you still there? So I can't remember if your question was which park needs most refurbishments or which park needs additions. Put that in the chat so we can talk about that. As I think y'all know, or most of you know, if you watch Janelle or Tanya or the others, Disney just recently discontinued the virtual queues for Guardians of the Galaxy and for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I was doing some research on those, and now I'm going to give you some numbers, and they will fluctuate time of day, day of the week, that sort of thing. But since they got rid of the virtual queue, Guardians has been averaging a wait time of 60 to 75 minutes. At times it will spike to much higher than that. Sometimes it drops lower than that, but that's the average. And Tiana's has been averaging 50 to 60 minutes. Again, it fluctuates, but over the course of the time since they removed the virtual queues, that's the average wait times. Obviously, the advantage of the removal of the virtual queues, it provides you flexibility as to when you want to ride. You're not stuck to a queue time that you're given. It gives you more ability to plan. Think about if you had a dining reservation and virtual queue overlap, that could have been problematic. And without the virtual queues, as long as the ride is operating and you're willing to wait in line, there's no risk of missing out on the ride. The negative is clearly usually a longer wait time because you don't have the virtual queue where you're getting in and hopping on pretty quickly. So that's what I got there. I'm guessing Tina must have dropped. But I think again, her question, I know it was which park needs I don't remember if it was most refurbishments or additions. So I'll just kind of randomly talk about that. You guys can tell me your thoughts. But I think Animal Kingdom needs more attractions. I think that's a given. I mean, you think about right now, and I'm going off memory here, but you've got the 2 rides in Avatar, Flight of Passage and Navi River. You got the Safari ride. You've got Kali River Rapids. I'm at 4. I'll count the train back to Rafiki's Planet Watch, 5. You've got Everest, 6, and you've got Dinosaur. I think that's it. Triceratops Spin is gone. So you've got 7 rides right now. And yes, you'll get 2 more with the Tropical Americas with the Encanto ride, and there'll be a carousel ride. So you'll have 9, but I think they need to add more. Helen, yeah, more rides in Avatar would be nice. I would also love to see if they don't want to keep the whole park open later, at least keep the Avatar section open later so you can enjoy the colorations in the concrete. And I would love for them to keep Around the Tree of Life open later so you can see the projection shows, if not year round, at least 8 or 9 months out of the year instead of the 2 or 3 that you get right now. I would like that. Hollywood Studios certainly needs more rides. Again, I'm going to just go off memory here, but you've got Star Tours and Rise of the Resistance and Millennium Falcon and Smuggler's Run. You've got Alien Swirling Saucers and Slinky Dog Dash and Toy Story Mania. And you've got Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway and Rock and Roller Coaster and Tower of Terror. And I think that's it. I think you've got 9 there. So they could use a couple more rides as well. Hey, Jessica, welcome in. I would love to see Epcot add some more. But I also think Epcot doesn't do a great job of advertising what they have. I think there's so much in the World Showcase that people miss out on because if it's not out in the open where they can see it, they don't venture in. I mean, we talked about Grand Fiesta Tour earlier, that ride's been there for a long, long time, and people still don't know about it because they don't venture inside the Mexico Pavilion. People don't walk up into the Canadian Pavilion and see all that it has to offer. So I think there's opportunity there for better advertisement of what they have. Yeah, Le Mans, absolutely. They should keep that Avatar section open later in the evenings. And I think it's far enough. The story has always been that they close earlier because of the animals. And I know that they've got a lot of the animals they put back in their enclosures at night and what have you. And I get all of that, but I think that Avatar section is far enough away that they could still tend to the animals in the safari that they need to and allow guests to enjoy the nighttime of Avatar. I will tell you, Jessica, I'll talk about that in a second because I just read a story about that today, as a matter of fact. One thing that you can always try to do, let's just for argument's sake say that Animal Kingdom closes at 7 p.m. Well, as I think we all know, if you're in line for a ride at 7 p.m. in my example, you get to ride the ride. So let's assume Flight of Passage has a 45-minute wait at 7 p.m. Well, they're not going to close that section of the park because there are people standing in line waiting to ride the ride. So even if you're not in line to ride it, you got at least until 7:45 to hang out in that area and enjoy that area as it gets darker while people are in line to ride the ride. I think that's something that doesn't get talked about, and people miss out on that opportunity to enjoy a little bit more of that time. Let's see here. Yeah, exactly, Helen. Hey, Holly, welcome in. Okay, so Jessica said, is it true that they're going to get rid of the tree in Animal Kingdom? So Disney filed some construction permits for some of the work for the the tree area. I'll call it that. And I think what I read, most of the permits have to do with um, what they need to do inside the theater there, where Tough to Be a Bug is right now, and the Zootopia show will be um, at the end of the year. And so I think that's what a lot of the permits are for. But there was a permit that made it sound like there was the possibility of more significant construction. And I think somebody just ran with that and said, hey, I wonder if they're going to tear down the Tree of Life. And I just can't, in any conceivable way in my brain, think that that's what they're going to do. I mean, that the tree is, that is the, the iconic symbol of that park. So I don't see them taking that down whatsoever. I mean, that would be such a massive undertaking. First off, they still need the theater that's underneath it for the Zootopia show. So I don't think they're going to do that. There might be some um, refurbishment, fine tuning that they do of the tree, possibly. And obviously, once the Tough to Be a Bug show ends, then there won't be traffic going down and underneath the tree and what have you. And so they'd have the opportunity to do any of the refurbishment that they need to do on the tree itself. So I think that's probably what the extension to the permit is allowing them to do. Let's see here. So anyway, so I mentioned rides in Animal Kingdom. I think Animal Kingdom has adequate quantity of shows. For my money, the Festival of the Lion King is the best show, at least daytime show at Walt Disney World. I think that show is spectacular. I think the Finding Nemo show is great. If you've never done the bird show back between say Everest and the Safari, that is a tremendous show that they do there. They also have a bird show up by the Tree of Life up at the front part of the park. I don't think that Rafiki's Planet Watch, the train, and the veterinary area back there gets enough publicity, and it doesn't get talked about a lot. So I think people miss out on that opportunity. So I think that part of it is covered. I just think they need more rides in Animal Kingdom. And we were talking Hollywood as well. I think the same thing can be said for Hollywood Studios. I think there's, what do we count, 9 rides right now. So I think they could do a little bit more. I'd love to see a 4th ride go into Toy Story Land. I'd love to see more down the way towards Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster. I think that'd be great to have. I think there's room back. I mean, there's, hey, Darla, welcome back. There's also some train of thought that if you're going to retheme Dinosaur Ride at Animal Kingdom to Indiana Jones, that maybe you move the Indiana Jones show from Hollywood over to Animal Kingdom. And then that would open up that theater, or at least that the real estate. If they wanted to put in more attractions at Hollywood Studios, they could do that. So interesting stuff. We'll see if any of that comes to fruition or not. Magic Kingdom has plenty of rides, and when you factor in the additional Cars Land that's coming in, and then the Villains Land that's going to come in 2027, I think Magic Kingdom will have probably maxed out what it can do at that point in time. Then it's just a matter of ensuring that what they have continues to operate successfully. I think we've all seen that they've had challenges with Tiana's Bayou Adventure having to close down throughout periods of time throughout the park days. So I think it'll be important to make sure that the rides stay operating successfully. I could nitpick. I think they could probably get rid of the magic carpets, the Aladdin's magic carpets over by Jungle Cruise, and either leave that area open, so it's a little easier to transverse through there, or they could find another attraction to put in there as well. I would be interested to, I'll just throw this thought out here. So one of the things that, and I know people right now are upset about Tom Sawyer Island closing and Liberty Bell closing, but the the reality is foot traffic has gone down significantly on those attractions. I think it'd be interesting to see what the foot traffic is on the Robinson family treehouse, the Swiss Robinson family treehouse. And my gut tells me that that foot traffic isn't all that great either. And that's probably another area where they could take that out and put something else in that would have a bigger fan appeal. And I'd like that. Helen, why I got to pick on the carpets? I enjoy the ride, Helen, but I think the argument that people make is you have Dumbo, which is basically the same thing, just different ride cars. And I don't know. I think it's, well, first off, it drives me crazy when that thing screeches like it does. So I don't know. That's just a thought. Again, I'm never a fan of removing rides unless they're going to replace them with something far better than what there is there today. I mean, gosh, you think back with Hollywood Studios before Galaxy's Edge, that was back in that area where you had the streets in New York and you had the lights action motor car stunt show back there and all cool stuff. But I mean, you flash forward to today, and I don't know that any of us could imagine not having Galaxy's Edge, even if you're not a huge Star Wars fan. Oh, that's fine, Helen. Get a good night's sleep if you do crash here shortly. Okay, so next thing I had on my list to talk about, and I know there's just a few of us here, but I'm interested to get your reactions, and I suppose I'll share it in case you hadn't heard, but yesterday morning, I think around 9 o'clock my time, my phone went crazy, my computer went crazy with the big announcement that Southwest Airlines was going to eliminate their 2 free checked bags policy that they've had forever. Hey, Renee, welcome in. That was, to me, the biggest thing in the airline industry that set Southwest Airlines apart from anybody else was the fact that everybody flew with 2 free checked bags. So if you're not, haven't heard that, they are changing the policy. Their business class, business select, and top A-list clients will still get 2 free checked bags. If you're a regular A-lister or you have a Southwest Airlines credit card, you'll get 1 free checked bag. Everyone else will have to pay for their bags. They've not come out with the pricing yet, but they said that prices will be competitive with other carriers. I looked, Delta is $35 for the first bag. United and American is $40 for the first bag. And then you get into like Frontier and some of those budget airlines, and they're even higher. So take it for what it's worth. Now, what I think is still a little up in the air, their language said for tickets booked on or after May 28th. And so I think there's some debate possibly on what the definition of booked means. Does that mean if you purchase them on or after May 28th, you'll have to pay for luggage? Or does it mean if you've already booked your trip, but you don't have flights, they're not scheduled or booked until after May 28th, will you pay? So I think that'll get probably cleared up. I would hope when Southwest comes out with whatever the pricing will be for the bags, that they will clarify that. If not, on May 28th, I guess we'll find out. And it's really interesting for me because my family, my mom, my dad, myself, my wife, my youngest son, my middle son, his wife, and our grandson are hopping on a Southwest flight on May 29th, the day after, to head down to Disney. So I'll be closely watching on May 28th to see what happens, what social media has to say, if people that had bought tickets prior to May 28th, if they're paying for their luggage or if they're not. Some other changes that they made or announced yesterday, there will be changes to their reward miles program, and they're also going to introduce a basic ticket fare, which is comparable to what a lot of the other airlines do, where you're paying the lowest price for a seat, but you're not allowed to, you don't get to pick the seat, you don't get to have a carry-on. Well, actually, Southwest is going to allow carry-ons, but it's restricted, I guess, is the best way to put that. But yeah, there are no changes to their carry-on policy at this point in time. So what do you guys think about that? I thought that was like in the travel industry, like an earthquake yesterday hitting, with Southwest announcing that. There had been some speculation that they were going to do it, but they also had come out last year and said that they would not be doing that. If you remember last year, they announced, or it was early this year, that later in 2025, they would no longer have open seating. You would get assigned seats, just like all the other airlines. So again, the free luggage was the one differentiator that set Southwest apart, and now they've just become any other airline. And I think with that, a lot of people who are dedicated Southwest airline passengers because of the free bags, Southwest has just opened the door for those passengers to price other airlines and possibly fly with somebody else. So it'll be interesting what happens. Anybody got a flight coming up on Southwest, or are you Southwest flyers because of the free bags? And does that change your mindset when you look for your next flight? Be interested to hear your thoughts on that. Well, that's good, Holly. I like Southwest too. Although I'll tell you, there was felt like 10 years, but probably a 3 or 4 year period where, again, I live here in the middle of the country in Nebraska, but I was working on a project that was in Dallas. And so I was flying from Omaha to Dallas frequently. And the only direct flight was on American Airlines. So I flew that all the time and got very comfortable with those folks, and obviously racked up a lot of frequent flyer miles with them to benefit me. But yeah, I like Southwest as well. I think the flight attendants always seem to be just a notch friendlier than the other airlines for the most part. And I know that's kind of a broad stroke comment, but I've always felt that way. But I think for me and my family, when we're going to take trips, we'll at least look at the other airlines, and see what the price comparisons are, knowing that we'll have to pay for luggage either way. Yeah, I've never had issues with Southwest either, Holly. I don't count weather delays and things like that against any airline company. Hey, Ronnie, welcome in. No worries. We're talking about the big announcement that Southwest made yesterday that they're going to start charging for checked luggage. Not sure if you'd heard that or not, Ronnie. But I will certainly price check. Now, I will say conversely, so here in Omaha, all right, Holly, have a good night. Good to see you. We do not have the super budget carriers like Spirit. That's the one that comes to my mind. There's one out of Kansas City, and I can't think of what they're called now. JetBlue. We don't have those here in Omaha, so I don't have anything to compare to. But I'd be interested if any of you have flown any of those budget airlines where you're essentially paying cheap price for a seat, but you get nothing other than a small personal item that you can carry on. Then you have to pay for checked luggage and pay for carry-ons. What your thoughts are those? I feel like those carriers, it's hot or cold. You either love them or hate them. There's no in between. So, current promotions that Disney has running right now, in case anybody's looking for a trip. The first handful are all Disneyland out in California through different times. They have 20% off rooms from now through May 15th. And then a second promotion, 20% off rooms May 16th through August 14th. However, if you do have a Visa Chase card, it's up to 30% off rooms for those timeframes as well. They have special Disneyland ticket packages for trips May 16th through August 14th, which that is the window of the first 3 months of the Disneyland 70th anniversary celebration. $100 per day for a 4-day pass, or $120 per day for a 3-day pass. So pretty good pricing there. If I jump over to Disney World, they have room promotions up to 30% off May 1st through July 31st. If you're a Florida resident, they have ticket packages, $60 per day for a 4-day pass, so $240 for 4 days, or $75 per day for a 3-day pass. And those are tickets that are good through May 23rd. Disney has extended the bounce back offer through the end of this year. That is a return trip promotion, if you will. So if you have a trip planned, anytime up to 7 days after checkout of that stay, you can book a return stay for really good savings, up to 25% for value resorts, up to 30% for moderate resorts, and up to 35% off for deluxe resorts. So great offer there. And you can book more than one stay. So for argument's sake, if I was at Disney next week and I wanted to do a bounce back and I was planning on going back 2 or 3 times this year, off of that one reservation, I can book multiple return stays with the bounce back. So a pretty good deal. So some good promos now. We're getting close to that time. We're almost into April, where we'll probably hear the fall promotions that will take us probably right up to Thanksgiving. So if you have late 2025 travel plans in mind, keep tabs on that. You can reach out to me and I can help you with that. And then we've talked about this. Where are my notes for this go? Here they are. You remember in September this past year, we had the Dreamstream event, September 13th or 12th through the 14th. And we had committed to doing another one in 2025 at the end of this year. We have set those dates for November 13th through the 15th. Again, it's a Thursday through Saturday. Get the Christmas flavor this year instead of the Halloween flavor from last year. And maybe the best part of it is it shouldn't be so doggone hot and humid, because it was pretty toasty last September. But there was a good group of us that went. And we'd love to see you come down for that again with us this year in November. If you came last year, we'd love to see you again. If you didn't make it last year, we'd love to have you come this year. You can reach out to me for more information on that, and we can walk through those details. And I think that covers what I had for the night. We're almost to 1 hour. If you're still here with me and you weren't here at the beginning, Janelle is not on with me tonight. She was in the chat a little earlier, but was not able to join tonight. So you're stuck with me. I am going to do my best to stay consistent and have these run every Wednesday night, so that we can kind of roll on a consistent basis. And you guys will know that you can find us here every Wednesday. Things got kind of busy early this year. As you probably know, Janelle was on a couple of different trips and away. And then I was sick for almost an entire month. Well, I was sick for a week, but I lost my voice for an entire month. So I wasn't even able to whisper, let alone talk. So we were shut down for quite a bit. So I want to get these things going again and hopefully get more engagement. I would always encourage you to share these out with friends and family. And I always look forward to having you ask questions either ahead of time or as we, So, okay, Renee, are we still posting questions on Reddit for you or answer here, or is it a different place? Let me take a quick drink. So on the YouTube page, on the Park Life Podcast page, probably over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, my intent would be to schedule the live so it's out there so you can see it, but then also put out a post encouraging questions. If you have Discord, which is a social media chat avenue, if you will, I do have a Park Life Podcast Discord page. I just started that up over this past weekend, and that's another place where you can submit your questions. I kind of knew that's what you meant, Renee, when I saw Reddit. I don't want to land on Reddit because I always hear bad things about what's on Reddit. I'm not a Reddit person, but anyway, so on here on YouTube, I'll always put out a post encouraging questions. I'll schedule the chats like this, like I had done for tonight. But again, if you're a Discord person, I'd love to have you join our Discord. My intent for that Discord is to provide information on the lives, information on recorded podcasts. I will put all of the information out there as we have it for the event in November. I think we're gonna, it was DreamStream last year, and that was kind of a brainchild I had of trying to showcase the streamers. And Janelle was great. John and Missy from Wandering Fam were great. Madeline and Elias were wonderful. But I don't want to put too much pressure on them as streamers to have to be engaged through that 3-day period because they do so much. So I think we're going to try to rebrand it. And my feeling is that it'll be the Park Life Party, kind of a friends and family fest, if you will. I know some of us that were there last year, it was just husband, or it was just wife, or it was husband and wife. There were a few families that came with their children. And so I always want to make sure that the event is suitable to all audiences. So if you want to bring your entire family, great. If you want to be a solo traveler, that's wonderful as well. If you want to bring a group of friends with you, you can do that. So I want to make it flexible that way. I'm excited about this one being in November with the Christmas time. Just for me personally, I don't picture that trip being in the parks every day for 5 or 6 days straight. I intend on taking a day where we go to the Grand Floridian and check out the gingerbread house, go to the other resorts and see their Christmas decorations. I want to do the Christmas stroll at Disney Springs. So it'll be more of a laid back type of thing for me. Definitely going to do Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. I'm hopeful that we'll do Jollywood while I'm there as well. It'll be year 3, so I think it'll be any bugs they had in year 1, they solved in year 2, and hopefully year 2 bugs, which I didn't hear very many of, they'll be able to rectify and have those worked out for year 3 of Jollywood. So I'm excited about that. But anyway, so the Discord page will have information on live streams, the Q&A section for questions to be asked, and information on the November event and whatever else we expand the page to have. That is my story, and I think I'm going to stick to it. So before we disconnect here, anybody else have any questions that you wanted to ask? Disney related, travel related, the event in November related, anything like that? I'll pause for a second, take another drink. All right. I will, like I said, this weekend, put out a post about next week's live. We will do this again next Wednesday night here on YouTube. I've been thinking about, and I'll say this out loud to you guys and you can react and tell me your feelings, but I was thinking about switching off every other week, where I'd be on YouTube one week and I'd be on TikTok the next week and flip back and forth, trying to catch some of our old friends that we had on TikTok that have not migrated over to YouTube, and hopefully try to grow both places and have folks cross over. So I'm not sure if I'll do that yet, but it's just a thought that I've had, possibly going back and forth. But for now, we'll stay here on YouTube. Appreciate that, Ronnie. Thank you. So anyway, thanks, Darla. I appreciate that. What will happen if TikTok goes away? Well, Jules, will be here on YouTube. From what I hear, though, it sounds like there are 3 or 4 potential buyers of TikTok that would keep the application afloat. I've heard that if that doesn't get worked out yet, that the president will likely extend the temporary ban to keep TikTok afloat. And also, from what I understand, the way that legislation was written was that there's only one person that gets to make the decision if whatever acquisition of TikTok happens. If it is suitable enough for security concerns, and that one person is the president of the United States. Whether that would have been Joe Biden before or Donald Trump now, if a buyer is considered suitable to the current president of the United States, then that will go through and TikTok will continue to operate as it has. So I don't know that I don't necessarily envision TikTok going away, but if it does, we'll continue to live and operate here on YouTube, and we'll utilize the Discord channel as well. But good question. I know that's something that there's a lot of small businesses that really live off of TikTok to make their living. So it's a scary thing for those folks for sure. I remember when I first started up on TikTok, it took me, felt like forever to get to the 1,000 followers you needed to have to be able to go live. And so having to start all over, and even though it's only 50 followers or subscribers here on YouTube before you go live, it still feels like it's a daunting task to get there. And so I feel for those people that have spent years building a brand on TikTok and a following there for their business. So, all right, gang. Pause 1 second. Anybody else with anything? Otherwise, we'll wrap up for tonight. I also think, as I meant to say this earlier, like I said, I know Janelle's not on tonight. Hopefully she'll be able to rejoin. I know her schedule has gotten incredibly busy. If you follow her at all, you know that she's live quite a bit. And so it may be a challenge for her to be joining on a regular basis. I might look to occasionally have a guest that joins me. I got to figure out how to invite somebody to join when I'm live. We're lucky that I figured out how to go live tonight on my own. So, but that might be something that we do down the road as well. But just some thoughts, different things I've been kicking around that can try to make this enjoyable for all of us. All right, gang, I will wrap it up for tonight. I appreciate you joining. I will schedule next week's chat over the weekend. And if I think of it, I'll put the link to Discord out